think that Live for the Washington Post starts for us really in being able to offer readers feeds from the ground where news is happening. In an election year, that's often a press conference, a rally. It's inside a room on an election night, whether it's during a primary race or looking forward to the fall. But the extension of Live is being able to bring to bear the expertise of our reporters around the room, and then really taking it to the place that I think Facebook Live has entered the conversation, to be able to bring readers into that space and let them bring questions, or they get to really interact with our reporters as we're talking about a story, as we're watching a story unfold in real time.
Cool. And tell us about how much live there is on the Post, sort of what that is and how that might develop.
So right now we're doing, live video has a place on the Washington Post homepage. We've built a bunch of custom modules that allow us to quickly banner live video, allow us to feature it prominently in sort of the lead art spot on our homepage. And we've also made sure that it's integrated seamlessly into apps, into our live blog. We can stick live video into an article. More and more, the news game is not about offering it to your readers in one place, but making sure it's available everywhere they might encounter your news coverage, that they have a way into live video as it's happening in real time. Our live video is about letting readers into the story. It's also about bringing them closer to the story. So the more we can let readers feel like they can have one-on-one conversations with newsmakers, that they can talk to reporters who have broken major stories, that they can ask questions of them. How did you uncover these documents? How did you get this access to the women and the families in this story? How did that come about? What do you think is going to happen next? What reaction, what pushback have you gotten to your reporting on the story? That's the kind of things that I think readers are interested in diving into when it comes to news coverage in 2016 and going forward.
And what about video as sort of a primary news-telling medium in terms of reporting, in terms of enterprise reporting, and the role of packages, I guess?
I think nothing is ever going to replace being able to hear someone tell a story in their own words. We recently published a really beautiful piece by two of our reporters who are out on the campaign trail, Dalton Bennett and Alice Lee, who interviewed voters who are supporting both Trump and Hillary Clinton, and asked them why. What does this mean to you? Where does that support come from? We can report that all day long, but actually being able to hear it in their own words really tells the story more effectively than the written word alone can do.
Wow. So tell us about the election per se, the campaign per se, and how video is part of that and will be through Election Day.
Yeah, so for us, it's about making sure that we're never providing readers with just one type of video. So that is the long form, beautifully shot documentaries, portraits of voters, going deep on the issues. It's bringing to bear 360 cameras. We took 360 cameras to both conventions, and we shot little vignettes. There's something fun about being able to explore and drive yourself within that narrative. But it's also making sure that, when we're looking at something like Melania's speech, that we're offering you that side by side with Michelle Obama's speech so that you can really compare for yourself. All of those things are different, but as a department, we have to put out all of them in concert, in time, and working with each other to make sure that we're telling the right stories for readers at the right moment.
Great, and I wanted to, I wanted to ask you about the form factor. So much of the video is going on mobile. And then of course there's the OTT. And so, back in the day, 10 years ago when we started out, you sort of created really a web video. You hope the player played okay and didn't sputter too much. Now content is just one part of the form factor, just one part of how it's consumed. So tell us about sort of the different platforms of consumption and maybe how that drives your strategy.
So certainly it was something we wanted to approach from a technical perspective. So we took our CMS that we built in-house, Goldfish, and we created the ability for users for one single video story to upload a different cut for different platforms. So you can upload a slightly longer cut that could be sent to set-top boxes, something that's in the mid-form range, or maybe 2:30, 3 minutes is usually our sweet spot for the web. And then you could also upload a cut which is vertical for mobile users, and then we can target and serve the appropriate version of the story based on what platform readers are encountering that story. So certainly the technical aspect was one really important piece for us. But then when it comes down to practical day-to-day, for us it's really about saying, you know, is it important for readers to have a different kind of cut of this? You know, when you're looking at something like a speech, an acceptance speech on an election night, right? Or a debate supercut for readers who are trying to catch up. The difference between watching it on your desktop, watching it on your mobile, and watching it on your set-top box is not going to be that different, right? Ultimately, you're trying to catch up on something that you may have missed. But if we're talking about something like a mid-form piece that goes deep, or we're talking about the poll that we released recently, the 50-state poll, where we polled individuals all across the country, that's something where the experience that you want on mobile when you're catching up is going to be different than the one that you're going to want to encounter on the desktop, where you might be encountering the poll for the first time, and different still from something that you would encounter on Facebook, where tomorrow we're going to hold a live Facebook chat with our pollsters and with our political reporters to really dive in deep and take reader questions about that poll. So you don't always need to do a different cut, but you need to at least ask the question at the start of the process and be flexible and willing to do a cut based on where your readers are going to encounter the story.
And finally, Phoebe, you know, we've been involved with video journalism for quite a while, tracking, you know, what's been going on at the Washington Post and many other papers around the world. What's exciting to you? What are you psyched about, and do you think is the innovation that's sort of, you know, kind of gets you going, and that you think is important for the industry or for the Post specifically?
You know, I tell people all the time that part of why I love video is that it changes every year. I would never have dreamed when I started at the Post 4 years ago that we would be talking about Facebook live video. I just didn't think that was the direction we were heading. And I think that space of innovation is a great place for journalists to hang out. We're comfortable constantly with changing stories, always with new platforms. That doesn't throw us. That's our everyday. There's a new story and a new beat that we're on. I think what's exciting about video is that increasingly readers and journalists have the camera with them at that moment. So there's really no excuse and no barrier to hear from the people at the heart of a story. The challenge for us is just figuring out how to best translate that into a great reading experience for readers going forward.